not to see. Okay, cool. Right, that's everyone that said they would be here. Palmy and Crows are going to be during quali.
Cool. Good evening, folks. If you are watching after the fact, then please do feel free to skip ahead to qualifying as we get the rest of the drivers into the lobby and the stream all set up and ready to go. We'll be with you in just a moment. Oh, let's quickly download the thumbnail because I've made it beforehand this time rather than scrappily putting it together. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. Alright, then we open that up. And then we go edit video. Come on.
You all ready?
I'm ready.
Let's go then.
Commentator streams. Bosh, bosh, bosh. Bosh.
Lovely.
Oh wait, why is that linked to my channel? I swear I copied the right link. Looks like I need to mute my thing as well because that's coming through twice. There we go. That should be the right one this time. Amazing. Right, let's get my phone. Put my piece of cake to the side. It's almost tradition now to have a piece of cake before a race. So, but anyway, good evening everyone and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2 for tonight's dose of racing action. I'm Sumo, your commentator this evening, and I am joined as always by my amazing co-commentator Ghost. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing better than I was last week.
Incredible.
Still got the sore throat is still there, but overall I'm feeling ready to go.
Fabulous. We head then to Portimao for a tour around the Algarve International Circuit. 4.653 kilometers see us on a lap around this track, with many undulations and 15 corners. Racing action can be quite frequent here, but as we saw in Tier 1 on Friday, DRS trains are a common feature. Any thoughts on the circuit, Ghost?
Yeah, it's as our good friend Zach would like to say, the undulation. There's a lot of undulation on this track. A lot of hills on the exits of corners that can spin you out straight away if you put too much throttle on. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of spins today. But we'll see how which ones of the Tier 2 drivers can keep it clean.
Yeah, we certainly will. We had our fair share of spins over in Tier 1 as well. Let me get all my bits and bobs up, and then we can run you through the championship as we head into Portimao this week. So we take a look at the championship then, and Lawrence pulls ahead of these Red Bull rivals who swapped places behind the Mercedes driver. J-Man sits just a point behind our championship leader, with Maniman a further point behind. Femi continues a strong season and has moved up into 4th after finishing P2 in Suzuka. Red Bull continue their charge ahead in the Constructors, 46 points clear of Ferrari, who storm into P2. Williams aren't far behind the Scuderia, nor the Alpine pair, nor the Silver Arrows. The fight might now be for P2 in the Constructors' Championship. Any insights for us, Ghost?
It was P1 for Femi last week, Sumo.
It was P1, yeah. It says P2 on the results.
Does it?
I think so.
Are you looking at qualifying?
I might be.
Yeah, no, it was his first ever APPF1 race win, so we're all very happy for him.
No, it says P2.
It's
Oh no,
definitely P1.
I am looking at qualifying. You're right. Never mind. Sorry, Femi.
No, he was. Yeah, it was a stellar drive from him. Took advantage of everyone else's errors. It should have been Lawrence, but obviously the puncture on the final lap handed the win to Femi. So, yeah, Lawrence lost quite a good chunk of points there. So we'll see if he can regain a comfortable lead, because he's not going to be very comfortable being 1 point ahead of Mr. J-Man.
No, he's not, and he's also 2 points ahead of the other Red Bull. Red Bull having an incredible season, taking the fight to Lawrence, who currently leads the championship and is actually out on circuit quite early for the Lawrence. Actually, normally he leaves it to very late, but not Mr. J-Man, Manny Man actually is going to begin our qualifying. He's going to make his way all the way down to this fast turn 1, taking it in 6th gear. Really got to be brave through here, and then into turn 2, and in a very sharp braking zone for turn 3.
Muhiti invalidates at turn 1. Just a bit too much there for the Alpine driver behind the Red Bull, but Lil Manny Man continuing on down the straight into this heavy braking zone, brake at about the 80-meter mark, and then round you go into 4th gear, sometimes to get the traction off, but Lil Manny Man, no need of that as he comes through. Now turn 8, the dreaded, infamous turn 8, where we're going to see a lot of spins, I think, but Manny Man absolutely fine this time around, and coming through the rest of sector 2.
This bit of the track's great to drive. You go down and then right up into this very blind braking zone. You've really got to carry as much speed as you can and focus on the exit as you finish off sector 2 here, and then into sector 3, probably the twistiest part of the track in terms of actual sort of corners, but then it opens up into this very wide turn 15, which is just flat all the way. Little Manny Man has a spin around. He's given it a bit too much on the exit of 14, and that has sent the Red Bull pirouetting at that corner. Let's see what his teammate's up to just a little bit further down the road. He has still kept it on the circuit at the moment. I think he's going to be the driver to set the pace in car number 7, the number of the late great Kimi Raikkonen in Formula 1. He's going to come around this final corner. He's going to open up that DRS just late before the line. It's an 18.7 from J-Man.
Don't say the late great Kimi Raikkonen, you'll
well,
scare
not late
everyone.
great, that'll scare everybody, but you know.
Dalton Hiller's coming off the line. I think he's going to challenge that time, if not beat it. Does beat it, but only just an 18.6. I'm just going to have a look and see what he did in Tier 1.
Femi goes even quicker, an 18.5 for Femi in that Alfa Romeo, continuing an incredibly strong season.
Yeah, Dartha Hillis did an 18.3 in Tier 1, so there's more improvement from the McLaren driver. He's newly moved to Tier 2. He was a Tier 1 driver at the start of the season. He has now switched, as he's sort of in that no man's land area, really, where he's sort of right at the top of Tier 2, but struggles in Tier 1. But here he is now. But yeah, what a lap from Femi, and JBS Steve as well, who's not been having good qualifyings at all this season, into P2.
Yeah, here comes Muhiti, then P2 man of last season in the Alpine. Has had an awful season at the moment, but an 18.4 season, take provisional pole here on these first runs of qualifying. Next driver to come across the line, I think, is going to be our championship leader, Lawrence, who's making his way through turn 13 now. That was a mistake from the Mercedes driver. He'll want to rectify that on further laps, but that'll cost him a little bit of time on this first run.
Yeah, he's also got no ERS in, so it's his second lap. So definitely a lot of improvement to be done for Lawrence. He comes across the line, and it's a 19.8. Yeah, well off the pace. So a lot more to come from the championship leader, I'm sure. As Pommy Alex coming through Sector 2, I've been watching him. I think he's going to be the next to set a competitive lap time.
Curious. Cheryl Shaft, he's new here. I've not seen this name before in Tier 2. He's on the hard tyres, not the best tyres to be going out on in qualifying. You might want to save those for the race, pal, but whatever floats your boat, I suppose. But yeah, well, watch along as I think Pommy Alex is just coming around the final corner now. Our champion from last season, can he get any further up here? It's a poor lap from Pommy. He's got much better time in him than that. Hello, Lifebout. Welcome to the chat, mate. I was thinking the chat looks a little bit quiet this evening. But yes, I suppose the usual suspects aren't here at the moment. But that's fine. We're just qualifying at the moment. We'll be waiting for some race action soon. Let's follow along with Cheryl Shaft on this strange hard tyre. Maybe he's getting some practice. That's probably my best bet for what he's up to right now, because he's not running any ERS. He's on the hard tyres, and I think he's just going around at a steady pace to get a feel for the circuit.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed also Crozer has joined. Obviously, caring for a newborn is not something that I am familiar with. So, so I'm sure he's got more important things to do than joining a lobby on time. But we're very happy to see him, even if it is joining during qualifying, and hopefully he can get a good lap in. He's just gone out on track for the first time in the session.
Yeah, and Krauser found himself on the podium last week. I was surprised after that puncture. He was certain to not get on there, but that puncture really came in for him. I think there was a puncture on that. Was it Pommy Alex's car? Was that the other one, or was it somebody else? I can't remember. There were two punctures in
Lawrence
that
and
race. Lawrence and Tier. There we go then. But Krauser, yeah, P3 in Suzuka. He'd have been happy with that, no matter how it came.
Absolutely. Talking of Tier, I was talking to him the other day. And he told me he's already, I think, very close to scoring more points so far this season. This is the halfway mark, by the way, after this race. More points so far this season than the entirety of last season.
Wow.
And this season is shorter by 2 races. So, yeah, Tier having a much better season this time around.
Yeah, he certainly is. I think Tier had a few moments of brilliance last season, but I think there was a lot of mistakes from him. But I think overall, thus far in these first 5 races, he's been driving much, much better and has been a little bit more consistent as well. And has been really threatening those podium places as well. I would have to look back at some of the results over the season, but has been doing incredibly well. After saying all that, he'll probably crash horrendously tonight. Because that is the way it goes here in Tier 2. But we're going to watch little Manny Man now as he sets his first lap time of the session after invalidating his first.
Yeah, it was that spin earlier on that cost him a lap time, but there we go, a 19.2 from the Red Bull driver, half a second behind his teammate, but it's a time on the board which he'll be happy to have. Socks going across the gravel and the grass down there. Not sure what's happened to him on his outlap, but Crozer's invalidated. Cheryl Shaft is still out on the hards. Pommy Alex is not on a lap by the looks of it. I think Mr. J-Man's... Oh, Femi Thrustmaster coming down towards the line, yeah.
Yeah. Lifebat says, will anyone manage to get into the 17s, or we'll have to wait and see as the qualifying session continues to go on. I think we're just reaching the halfway mark. We're watching Femi Thrustmaster here. He's going to come into the pits. That was anticlimactic, to say the very least. How about Krauser then in the Ferrari? He's invalidated his lap time, so no quick lap from him. Invalidated his socks as well. Pommy Alex also on an invalidated lap. Lots of invalidated laps as Pommy Alex goes for a spin at turn 15. Darth will be next.
6/10 up. He could be heading into the 17s. He did an 18.3 in Tier 1. This could be a lot better from the McLaren driver. It is a 17.8. That is unstoppable. I don't think anyone's getting anywhere near that.
Well, there's the answer to your question, Lifebout. Darth Nihilus makes his way into the 1:17s, putting himself on provisional pole position. Here comes Muhiti. He's 3/10 up. He might get close to the 1:17s here. This could even be quicker than the provisional time. Not quite. It's an 18.0. It's not too far off the time we've got at the top at the moment. We've got both the Mercedes now out on track as well. He'll be on an outlap. Our championship leader, Lawrence, he's definitely got some more time in him. That is not a representative pace from the Mercedes. We'll watch as JBS. Steve Harris had a spin at turn 14. Shame for the Ferrari, which got revealed today, the 2023 car, and I must say that car is beautiful.
It's an absolute gem, isn't it?
Oh,
brilliant car. And to think that this time 2 years ago, we were thinking, oh my god, that car is hideous with the Ferrari launch. And now we have very different expectations. So I'm very glad, and I hope, fingers crossed, that they can challenge for the title. They're saying big things about it, but whether they're true or not remains to be seen.
Yeah, certainly. So Krauser's making his way around now. This will be a lap time from the Ferrari. No, it won't. Actually, he's going to probably come in or maybe try again, as he's had a bit of a stinker on that one. How about Mr. J, man? Is he on a lap right now? He's coming through turn 14. He looks like he could possibly be on a lap, but we'll see if he peels into the pit lane. He's got a lot of battery left in that Red Bull. Yeah, straight into the pit lane for the Red Bull. So it's Lawrence then, championship leader. I'm not sure how good this time's going to be. It will propel him into P5 and 18.6.
Yeah, it's not too bad at all. It's only a tenth off P3. Obviously nowhere near Darth, and he goes for a spin on the in-lap as well, just for good measure. His teammate LB is also on a lap in the other Mercedes, coming through Sector 2 now to this tricky corner now. Getting on that yellow curb and all the way down the hill. It says it's a purple second sector, but we know not to trust that as he comes around the final few corners now.
Yeah, here comes LB, car number 2. I think he's a permanent driver now, rather than a reserve here in Tier 2. So he will be trying to help Mercedes propel themselves up the constructors' table and maybe challenge Red Bull, which is a far off. But it's an 18.2 from LB. That's going to put him up onto the second row in P3.
I have to say, that lap from Muhiti is very impressive. 18.0. He has been another driver who's been well off this season, the pace that he showed last season. He was, of course, championship runner-up to his own teammate Pommy Alex at the end of last season. So we were all expecting Alpine to be a force to be reckoned with this season, and they've just not been on it at all. So it's good to see Muhiti up there.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think he's rightfully back where he was. I'm not sure. I think the winter, may have been a little bit too long of a time for him to take that break out, and perhaps didn't get the practice in, or just fell off a little bit. And it happens sometimes when you are racing, especially when you don't play the game for a little while. I mean, I used to play the game a lot during lockdown, and then when I started actually going back to work and some such, I had no time to play the game, and I sort of fell off a little bit. And it happens, and I think it's natural to get a little burnt out or slower as JBS Steve comes through. He improves by 10, I think, knocking Femi down to P5. A decent lap from JB, who's having a much better time out there at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is. And Sox goes for a spin at turn 4, meanwhile, and narrowly missed by Mr. J-Man. Pommy Alex invalidated again. We've got Tier on a lap as well in the Williams. We'll see where his first lap of the session puts him. He hasn't invalidated it yet, so hopefully that continues as he comes round. Darth Nihilus, provisional pole sitter, is out for his final lap of the session as well, so do keep an eye on him, see if he can improve. That's already a fantastic lap from him, much better than what he managed in Tier 1 on Friday.
We're following along with the second Red Bull. Little Manny Man is out on a lap. He was 0.08 of a second up on his previous pace coming through Sector 2. Can it be a much bigger improvement? Can he knock down his teammate, break into those 1 minute 18s, get a bit further into the top 10 than he is? It's a 10th improvement. It's not going to see him break into those 1 minute 18s. So here comes Tier in the Williams coming across the line now. This is his first lap of the night, and 19.5. He'll want to go a bit quicker than that, I'd imagine. Femi Thrustmaster just behind. I think that's a out lap for the Alfa Romeo. It is indeed. How about JBS Steve? He's on an in lap right now. I think Sox might be on a lap, but he's invalidated. A poor session from the house.
Femi invalidates at turn 1. I don't think Tier's got time to go again. I mean, he does, but the tyres are going to be not in the best shape. There's 2 minutes to go in the session. Pommy Alex coming to the line. What's he going to do? 1 at 18.7, identical lap time to Mr. J-Man. But he goes P8. Mr. J-Man P7. Obviously, in real life, it's supposed to work that the driver who set the lap time first gets the position. But I know that in game it doesn't work like that. It does record your times to a 4th decimal place.
Wow.
And differentiate it based on that, so you can't actually see whether you're going to be 7th or 8th. But it's just so happened that it's worked the way it does in real life today.
Yeah, oh, here's an interesting driver on the circuit coming through turn 14 now. He's 4 tenths up, Mr. J-Man. I think this could break him into the top 4, maybe see him into P3 as well. That'll be a great start if he can get there. He'll be ahead of Lawrence if he does, but coming across the line now, J-Man in the Red Bull. It's 3rd place. It is exactly where I said it would be, an 18.1. A decent time. Still nobody breaks into that 1 minute 17 gap. How about Femi Thrustmaster? He's invalidated. He's got time to go again, though. He's got plenty of battery left in that car. Krauser improves up to 10th place at the moment. The Red Bull, the Mercedes pairing. LB's on an outlap, maybe. I think Lawrence also on an outlap, so we'll come back there. Darth Nihilus, he's invalidated, but he'll probably try and go again. How about Muhiti? Outlap for Muhiti in the Alpine. Pommy Alex outlap as well. They're going to try and work together. How about Cher or Shaft? This is his 1 and only lap in this qualifying session, and I'm interested to see where it places him.
Yeah, me too. He's on the softs obviously this time, so it will be a representative time. Lawrence is a 10th up in sector 1. Meanwhile, Darth Nihilus was improving on his previous.
It's a 17.9.
Oh, wow, right at the top for Cheryl Shaft. So not quite enough for pole, but all that practice on hard tyres, maybe it paid off. Lawrence coming through sector 2, he's invalidated. Oh no, so the championship leader, no improvement for him. It didn't look like he went over the line. I'm sure he will feel the same, but regardless, that is no improvement for our championship leader. Femi Thrustmaster is also invalidated. LB's coming through, he's 2 tenths up, he could challenge for pole.
He's coming round that final corner now. I think all the drivers ahead of him are not on quick laps, so there's only a few drivers who can even challenge for pole and are on competitive lap time. Socks retires from the session. LB crosses the line. It's pole position for the Mercedes. It's a 17.7 for LB. He'll be absolutely pleased with that. Krauser, he's not on a lap. How about Darth Nihilus? Is he up to anything on the circuit? He's not. I think that's going to be your qualifying session. So after a long, drawn-out session with Darth Nihilus sitting on the top, 3 drivers break into the top 3 lifebout. So they're break into the 117s, I should say. And your top 3, LB, Darth Nihilus, and Cher or Shaft. After a great qualifying session, LB is on pole.
400ths of a second. Cheryl Shaft just a 10th, but a couple of 10ths behind as well. Muhiti another 10th back, and then Mr. J-Man another 10th back. It's so close between those top 5. I think this is we're in for a great race here.
Yeah, we certainly are. Absolutely.
Also, Lawrence in P8, the championship leader. I'm sure he won't settle for that. We know that his race pace is usually a lot better than his qualifying pace due to the no line restriction we have on him. So keep an eye on that Mercedes.
Yes, and once again I've forgotten to record. Annoyingly, I keep forgetting to do that. It's so easy to forget. Oh, whoa, that was a weird glitch. I don't know if that got caught on stream. It probably did. Yeah, go back on my stream quick, Ghost. Like a few seconds. Like you just see like the game phases LB's car out and then pops it back in and it just sort of bounces onto the track.
What? Let me see. And on the final corner. Whoa, whoa. Oh, okay.
Wow.
Whoa.
Oh,
LB, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. I think Mohammed bin Sulayem's going to have a word with LB after that.
Yes, I think so. But let's run you through then our order after qualifying. It's LB on the top step, on pole position. As he leaves the session, he'll hope to be getting back in ASAP. With Darth Nihilus lining up on the front row with him. Cheryl Shaft, an impressive debut on P3, with Muhiti making up the second row. Mr. J-Man rounds off the top 5, with JBS Steve coming home in P6, with Femi Thrustmaster and Lawrence P7 and 8, Pommy Alex and Little Manny Man rounding off the top 10, with Krauser, Tier and Socks rounding off the rest of the grid for what could be a great evening of racing.
Certainly could. It's good to see because LB and Darth both did an 18.3 and an 18.4 respectively in Tier 1 on Friday. So good to see that the improvement from both of them for today, because that is a lot faster from both of them. As LB, I hope that's not going to glitch the lobby.
Hopefully not. I saw the lobby updated, so we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We don't want another... we don't want any more technical issues with Tier 1 or Tier 2 races. We've had enough of those. And actually, I've just thought that we've not had any rain in a while. I think the first 3 races of both championships were rain soaked, but we are lucky enough not to have them anymore. Actually, no, it was all the way up to Saudi, so it's the first 2 rounds, actually.
Yeah, it's been it was a very, very rainy start to the season, and ever since it's been not so much. We had some rain in Elite on Sunday. It was dry for most of the race, and then it rained towards the end. But no one knew whether to put the inters on or not. So it was a very sort of hit or miss situation at the end of the Elite race. Very difficult to judge. So yeah, some people got lucky, some people didn't. So it looks like it will be dry for Tier 2, but we'll have to find out.
We certainly will, and we're going to find out a great many things, and we're going to have a look at the tyre strategies. And it's the inverse of Tier 1 this time. It's a higher amount of drivers on the medium tyres starting this race, with the hard tyres being the minority around on the grid. Only 5 drivers on the hards, including Daphne Hillis, Cheryl Shaft, JBSC, Femi Frostmaster and Lawrence, with the rest of the grid opting for medium tyres. LB, of course, won't have got to choose his strategy, as he's currently not in the session.
Yes, hopefully he can make it back in, but we will see. Just looking at... Yeah, okay, so, yeah, like you said, the tyres, very different situation to how it was in Tier 1. I think starting on the hards is going to be advantageous, but only if you can keep up in that first stint and not lose too much. But the mediums are absolutely outrageously good in the second stint compared to the hards, so... Yeah, interesting race ahead. Cheryl Shaft and Daphne Hillis, both from the hards. Marine Team J-Man mediums. Lawrence, I think, is the interesting one. He has gone on the hards to start off with, down there in P8, so we'll see his progress. And also Femi Thrustmaster. I don't think we saw everything he's got to offer in qualifying, so I think we'll see him getting up the grid as well. Although it just does seem like a lot of the Tier 2 drivers, despite their protests at this track, they do seem to be quite good at it.
Yeah, certainly so. And this track can be very up or down. It really does punish you if you do get things wrong. But yes, LB, you won't be able to take over until after the formation lap is over. So it'll be a shame for you, but I'm sure you'll be able to find your way forward. The AI might actually finish the race, so maybe just don't join back in, LB, and you'll score points. No. Sox will be our last driver to round off the grid. He's been new here in Tier 2, not had the best of runs, but has I don't think he's finished every race, but has managed to score some points for Haas. But we're right on board as Krauser gets disqualified for crossing the thingy line. I can't go on to LB, so we're going to follow Daphne Hillis on the start as we wait. We are going to get going, then no glitches, except for the obligatory starting glitch as we wait for those lights to go out, and I think... we're almost off. We're off now. There we go. And it's a decent start. Oh, LB's been disqualified. He's not going to be happy with that. But it's 4 wide down into turn 1 at the moment with the Red Bull of J-Man swooping round. And there's a big crash. And there goes. Oh, that's Femi Thrustmaster straight into the Red Bull. Oh, this has been absolute drama on the first lap. I think we might have a safety car any second now. Or perhaps not. But Femi Thrustmaster is out of this race. And Cheryl Shaft... up still, he's into P2, but J-Man finds himself at the front of the grid after going 4 wide with everybody else.
That is a terrible, terrible mistake from Little Manny Man. He's caused carnage there. Just brake too late into turn one. I saw everything from Lawrence's POV as Muhiti tries to go around the outside of the Mercedes. What a start it's been for Lawrence. We said keep an eye on him. Mr. J-Man, though, his rival, is in first place on the medium tyres. So do have a look at this, because the championship rivals could be racing each other as the race goes on for the lead of the race. Muhiti still putting pressure on that Mercedes with his teammate just behind. Crozer, oh no, Pommy spun and he's taken Crozer with him. And I don't know if there's damage to the Ferrari, but Pommy is going to be gutted with that. Socks as well into P7, Tier up to P6 as well. It's all happening here at the start.
Yeah, JB's going to be absolutely gutted. I think the game just disqualified him for no reason. Here comes Muhiti. He's on the attack on the Mercedes already. And the Mercedes is going to try and squeeze him all the way to the inside. Muhiti's got the speed to get through and the better line to keep the place. But he runs well wide off the circuit. That might open Lawrence up into turn 3. Not quite as they make their way around this corner and up the hill through turn 4. Muhiti is now up into P4 and making good use of those medium tyres. Meanwhile, his teammate laments as he spins out of turn 1.
Yeah, I don't think Lawrence is going to be too happy with Muhiti overtaking him and then going well off track. But I do think Muhiti had the position before the braking zone anyway. Yeah, Femi is gutted in the chat. There was nothing he could do about that. Little Manny Man, I think, has some questions to answer for that start. I don't think he's going to be a popular man in the Discord server after this race.
No, I don't think so. He won't be too pleased with himself for doing that either. It's never nice to make a mistake as Socks and Daphne Hillers go side by side. A little bit of contact between the two. Perhaps Socks just squeezing the McLaren just that little bit too much after there. He's struggling out his corners. He's got no ERS already and it's only the end of lap 2.
How does he do it? Well, he's going to be under pressure from Daphne Hillis now. Mr. J-Man, fastest lap. He's already opened up nearly a 2-second gap to Cheryl Shaft at the front there on those medium tyres, but that's going to start coming down as the mediums lose their edge, as Darth does indeed get past the Haas relatively easily there.
Oh, and there goes the Haas. He had a little look on the McLaren and then got sent spinning. I think that was all caused by himself as the Socks goes all the way back down to P10. Pommy Alex in P11. He'll be hoping for a safety car. But yes, the big losers at the start of this race, Femi and LB, of course. I think Femi, a passenger in that crash. LB, a victim of a very common cause of DNF, I suppose. A game, well, software breakdown. I will say.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate for LB, but also for Femi, because he, after his win last week, I know he said that he wasn't really thinking about the championship at this point, but he had to have been. He had to have been thinking in the back of his mind that perhaps he could make a championship charge, but that DNF is going to put a real wrench in those plans, I think, as Muhiti is now putting all the pressure on JBS Steve, the Ferrari in front. Those medium tyres still working well as J-Man proves it with another fastest lap. But Muhiti is not close enough to make a move on the Ferrari just yet, I don't think.
No, he's closing though. He has a little bit of a look to car number 2, but he's not going to make the pass just yet. He's going to sit behind the Ferrari and try and wait him out. Maybe get him down in towards that braking zone in turn 5. He's got the grip on those tyres. And look, he's all over the back of that Ferrari coming up the hill through turn 4. Runs a little bit wide. JBS Steve takes the inside line, but I think Muhiti is just going to swoop all the way around. But JBS, sorry, is going to give him a fight. They're going to switch around, are they? No, JBS Steve parks that car right on the racing line, so Muhiti gets a compromised exit through that hairpin and has to follow through turn 7 and 8 they go now.
Fantastic defending from JB there. That was really, really well done. Muhiti had nowhere to go, and he's going to have to wait for another opportunity. And meanwhile, they're catching up to Cheryl Shaft, who's struggling for race pace at this point in the race. He's losing time to Mr. J-Man, and these two are catching. And Lawrence now is back in DRS range as well, as Muhiti nearly has a look on that left-hander at the end of Sector 3, but can't quite get it done. But is JB going to get DRS from the AlphaTauri, I wonder? I don't think so. No, it's 1.2, so not quite. And I think here's the opportunity that Muhiti needed.
Yeah, the lack of DRS on that Ferrari is really going to help Muhiti out here. Lawrence is lurking in the background as well, getting involved, but Muhiti straight past with the DRS. The straight line speed on that Alpine, far superior, and up into the podium places goes Muhiti. Meanwhile, Daphne Hillis gets his way past the Williams of Tyr, trying to recover after that spin.
He's recovering really well, Daphne Hillis. Got past Crozer earlier on as well with a similar move. See no ERS left on that McLaren, but even so, I think he's going to be chasing after Lawrence. Now, 3.5 second gap it is as JB goes deep, and I think he's going to be vulnerable to the championship leader now.
Yeah, he is. Lawrence is a well-accustomed racer at this point, and he knows what he's doing. Out there, he does make the odd mistake, but that's what the no racing line will do as he continues to learn and improve with that. But that Mercedes does look like it's in a good place, and we could see quite the battle in the later stages of this race between J-Man and Lawrence.
We could indeed. I'm really looking forward to it. That second stint is going to be mighty, and if we do have a safety car at any point, that could throw some fireworks up as well. But at the moment, Mr. J-Man's going to be very happy with how this is proceeding, although he's not going to be as happy to see that the gap between him and Cheryl Shaft is now finally starting to trickle down.
Yes, certainly, and look, Muhiti's broken away as well, so here, the Ferrari vulnerable once more, and Lawrence down the inside with the DRS. That's going to be a fairly simple pass for the Mercedes, and he'll have that Alpine now well in his sights with putting that Ferrari into his mirrors. Meanwhile, further back, Krauser and Tyr have a little bit of a skirmish with one another as they try to chase after Daphne Hillis once more. Oh, Tyr, a poor exit through turn 3, and that invites the Ferrari right round the outside. A great move from Krauser. He gets himself up into P7.
Great stuff. It's good to see that clearly there is no damage on that Ferrari after he got caught up in Pommy's spin earlier. Or maybe there is, I'm not sure, but it certainly doesn't seem like it, the way he's driving. That was a great move. And JB still on the back of Lawrence, but Darth is catching them. That was 3.5 seconds a couple of laps ago. It's now 2.5, so that McLaren far from out of the race just yet.
Yeah, I think our hard tyre fight could be between Cheryl Shaft, Lawrence, JB and Darth, with Muhiti and J-Man thrown into the mix as well. This could be quite the battle brewing in the latter stages of the race, and any safety cars could really affect the results this evening. But despite the low numbers on the grid, we are not being we are not for a lack of racing action.
Absolutely not, and even with LB getting disqualified, and Muhiti, the 3-second time penalty. There's track limits, and there's going to be quite a few of those this evening. But Muhiti is the first of the top 6 to get one. And I do wonder how costly that's going to be at the end. Pommy Alex gets one as well further back. But at this point, he's just going to be hoping for a safety car anyway.
Yeah, I think JB might be happy to just sit behind Lawrence and run with him. I don't think he has the pace, but I think if Lawrence makes any mistakes, JB will be all over him as they go. And he's doing well to stay with the Mercedes, and he's just going to try and use him to try and catch up to Muhiti, which is then going to bring them both onto the back of the fight for P2. So we're going to have a 4-car battle for P2. And then, of course, Daphne Hillis is got some pace in that McLaren. He's slowly catching up. He's eked out a couple of tenths or so on this lap. But we'll keep an eye on that orange car as it plummets that time.
Yeah, indeed. I think the mistake there from JB has brought that gap back down again between him and Darth. But Muhiti still right behind Cheryl Shaft. He's got the DRS. He's not close enough to make a move, though. And he's just going to have to stick behind for now. But he wants to make the most of those medium tyres while he's got them on. But they're going to start hurting in a couple of laps, I think, and the hards are going to start to overtake them in performance. As Muhiti nearly hits the back of the AlphaTauri into turn 3, that was well avoided there, but you can just see the difference in performance of the tyres still at this point.
Yeah, Tyr is into the pit lane, first of the medium runners to do so. He's going to go on the hard, so it's a very early stop from the Williams. I don't know if he had damage, actually. I don't know if he had a wing change. I couldn't quite see. I didn't stay on him long enough. But we'll go back to the fight at the front with Muhiti. Muhiti needs to try and save some battery. He's got very little battery for this early stage of the race. And despite trying to get the best out of those mediums, I think it's a bit of a lost cause, wasting the battery when you don't need to.
Yeah, absolutely right. Especially now he's going to be stuck behind this AlphaTauri. As we've got another spin. I think that's Tia, unfortunately, just coming out the pits on those cold tyres. He's spun it at turn 4, very easy to do at that particular corner with the undulation there. Muhiti and Cheryl Shaft coming out the final corner, still not close enough, the Alpine, and I think his time has really passed. Those mediums are going to start losing performance now, and I think we'll see that as the gap to Mr. J-Man between him and Cheryl Shaft, I think that's going to start coming down now over the next few laps.
Yeah, I think so too. Cheryl Shaft gets a 3-second time penalty now. Not great for his race campaign at the moment. That gap between Lawrence and Muhiti will start coming down as well. But Muhiti not giving up on this fight at the moment. He'll try and get past if he can while he's out there on the circuit. Has a little look, thinks about a dive bomb, but thinks better of it. That would have been way too far back to dive on that AlphaTauri.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a careful driver, Muhiti. He doesn't like to do those kinds of moves. But unlike his teammate, has to be said, Pommy Alex is very happy to do those kinds of moves. But at the moment, all he's doing is spinning as he goes round again at turn 3, unfortunately.
This is a far sight from the champion that we watched.
It is.
Make an incredible drive in that final race. I don't know what has happened, Pommy Alex, but I really hope you can have a few decent races this season.
Well, he did pick up that podium in the first race.
He did, yes.
But, you know, I think we were talking to him in the interviews, and even he was saying that he didn't think he deserved that podium. And I think his form this season has certainly not been the Pommy Alex that we're used to. So, like you, I do hope he can regain it before the end of the season and we can see vintage Pommy Alex once again. But just as I predicted, Sumo, that gap to the front is coming down.
Yeah, it is. It's just broke the 2 seconds, so we're into 1.9s or so now with Muhiti still having little looks on that AlphaTauri as they go down into turn 5. The rest of the gaps have sort of opened up now, so our closest fight on track is Muhiti and Cheryl Shaft, but I'm sure Muhiti and J-Man himself as well will likely be thinking about a pit stop soon.
Yeah, definitely. Keep an eye on Lawrence as well. He's trying to get within that 1 second. He was briefly within the 1 second range of Muhiti, but has dropped back again since then. JBS Steve as well. Darth Nihilus has slowed down his progress since getting within about 1.5 seconds of JB, but I think that Ferrari is going to come under pressure pretty soon, and we're going to see another battle on track. But at the moment, it's still all about these 2 and 3, Cheryl Shaft and Muhiti, and the Alpine still not quite close enough to make a move into turn 1.
No, he really needs to start thinking about saving that ERS. It's going to help him in the long run. And Cheryl Shaft was on 90% or so just a moment ago. He's sat on about 80% ERS right now as they come through those first couple of corners. And that's really giving him the pace to just keep Muhiti behind. Muhiti is just all over him in these corners. He gets close and close and close. He's close through turns 13 and 14, but then as they go through 15, he just drops that gap.
Yeah, indeed. It's the crucial time, and every single lap Muhiti has been nearly going into the back of Cheryl Shaft at turn 3. So clearly different braking performance or just different braking points between the two cars, but Muhiti's just got to be careful there and make sure he doesn't end up ruining both their races with one mistake, because he knows it's a possibility. He knows he's nearly gone in the back of him several times, so he's just got to be a bit careful here. As Darth Nihilus is now within a second, and also Lawrence is within a second again of these two. It's on the cusp of that 1 second range, though.
Yeah, it is. Once he's in, I think Lawrence might make quick work of that Alpine, who's got very little battery left to play with at the moment. Still no pit stops from positions 1 and 3. Darth in the McLaren. He's got very little ERS himself, but he's close enough to Krauser. He's going to pull to the inside, and that's going to be a simple move for the McLaren. Gets back on the racing line and gets himself up into the top 5.
I think JB is going to be frustrated to see that red flashing light on the back of the McLaren because he didn't really defend that. But if he'd known that there was no ERS on Darth's car, he would have pressed the button to try and defend, I'm sure. But he might have a go here into the hairpin. He's going to go round the outside. Maybe Darth leaves just enough room. But I don't think JB is going to be able to hold that one. And he will be frustrated to see that because now he knows that he could have defended that position.
Yeah, certainly, and he's going to stay with that McLaren and probably make a challenge as we go along. But I think he was going to try the switchback, but I just find it's very hard to get the switchback if you're not in the right place on that corner. It's just the nature, I think, that it goes and how sort of sharp it is, and you really do have to run out wide in order to get the best exit.
Yeah, you have to cut in so much more than you think you have to in order to make a switchback work, and even then, you might end up with not a good enough exit because of the undulation, and you have to be careful on the throttle anyway. So, yeah, it's a tricky one, and I think you really have to get it perfect to get a switchback working there, as now Lawrence is definitely within that 1 second range of these two. And Cheryl Shaft has got to watch his back, and so does Mr. J-Man. I do think Lawrence is in prime position to win this race because of Cheryl Shaft's penalty as well.
Yeah, for sure, and these could be some crucial moments of the race for Lawrence. He won't want to make any mistakes. He'll probably sit with these two for a little while, wait for Muhiti to come in, and then try and pounce on Cheryl Shaft, perhaps, or he'll try and dispatch this Alpine as quickly as possible. But for now, it seems he's happy to just sit behind Muhiti. Remember, very little battery in that Alpine. And I'm sure Lawrence will be seeing that red flashing light in a few moments' time now. But Cheryl Shaft strikes me as a very consistent driver at the moment. He hasn't really made any mistakes, but he's not been overly quick either.
Yeah, we saw him in the F2 Cup, the F2 Cup we did between seasons. He was there for a couple of races. Yeah, I mean, obviously F2... completely different cars, but he seemed pretty consistent there. A couple of mistakes, but he did seem alright. As Pommy Alex goes for yet another spin, he is having a torrid time on this circuit. He is not happy at all. Maybe there's rear wing damage on that Alpine. I've got to give him benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, and it looks like he's about to be lapped, so that safety car...
He finally goes into the back of the AlphaTauri. It's finally happened. We could see it coming, and it's Cheryl Shaft's gotten away with it, but Muhiti's lost some of his front wing. Pommy Alex is retired. Is that going to be a safety car? It is.
It is.
On track. I'm not sure about that one, Pommy. Yeah, safety car now on track. Mr. J-Man. And Muhiti going to get 3 stops. Muhiti is going to be absolutely delighted with that because it's perfect timing for the medium runners. The hard runners have got a decision to make. Do they go onto the mediums to the end? It's possible. You can definitely do it, but they are going to be hurting towards the end. And I think they have to. I think they have to go for it.
Yeah, I think so. Little Manny Man is coming at a decent time as well. He's going to benefit from this, just coming onto the hard tyres. Himself, but maybe there might be some investigations going on into that safety car there, and I think some drivers might not be too thrilled as it has come out at just the right time for those on the mediums, especially Muhiti as well. I'm not saying Pommy Alex retired on purpose, but he certainly wasn't having a great time out there. But everybody coming in, Cheryl Shaft almost going into the back of the Red Bull there as well, and Muhiti's mistake will be dampened now by this safety car, so he'll have the time to change that wing.
Is anyone going to stay out, I wonder? Certainly no one in the main top 7, so no one that really matters at this point anyway. Of course, Lil Manny Man Tier could come into the race. Now the safety car's out. Crozer changing his wing, so there was indeed damage on that Ferrari after Pommy's spin, so it's incredible that he did so well with that damage. But now it's repaired. Muhiti will be repaired as well, but he's lost several positions and is now down to P6. And Lawrence now on the medium tyres, Mr. J-Man on the hards, and Cheryl Shaft with a penalty. Lawrence is going to be very happy with how this is transpiring, but he's got Darth Nihilus right behind him.
Yes, and I'm sure Lawrence will be thinking back to last week and being on a set of tyres that might only just make it to the end of the session. Does he drive a little more carefully, perhaps, to avoid a late race puncture again? I'm sure that'll be something on his mind as we go around during this safety car. But yes, it's going to be Cheryl Shaft, Lawrence, Nihilus, and JB risking those medium tyres, and they kind of have to at this point of the race.
They are going to be in puncture range on the last lap or so, but I don't think. I think you'd have to be extremely unlucky to get a puncture on those mediums this race, having pitted where they have. I think they will, not comfortably, but they will make it to the end.
Yeah, certainly so. And I've just realised only one person to start the stream so far. There's 3 people watching. Make sure you like the stream, of course, if you are enjoying the racing here this evening, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. All of the support really does go a long way as I continue our commentary journey. And of course, go check out Ghost's channel as well for some onboard action from this Tier 2 race, and give Ghost a like and subscribe as well, as it does help him out also.
Indeed. It's here into the pits again. I don't know if that's for a set of mediums for the Williams. Coming out on
mediums.
Yes, set mediums for the British driver, but he is going to be behind Stocks now as he comes out. I think his mediums will be fine.
I think Stocks isn't in the session anymore. I don't know. He was a Ghost a minute ago.
Oh yes,
and he is a Ghost right now. Yes.
Okay. Well, either way, Tyr comes out behind him, so if he is ghosted, then it won't impact Tyr at all, really. Mr. J-Man is going to be, well, he's going to have his eyes on his wing mirror when the safety car comes in. He's got 4 cars on fresh medium tyres right behind him, all similar if not faster than him in quali. So I think he's going to be a lucky man if he can come away with a podium here.
Yeah, for sure, and the safety car is going to come in this lap, so we're going to slow things down. We're going to let that red Mercedes make its way back towards the pit lane. Car number 7, Mr. J-Man, is going to be your effective safety car as he rounds turn 13. Just before we go back green flag racing, he's got from the moment the safety car peels into the pit lane to the start line to get this race going, and he'll be wanting to catch out these drivers behind him, make sure those hards are up to temperature, and control this race from the restart and not come under too much pressure.
Indeed. Here we go. When is he going to punch it? The safety car's in the pit lane, so it's down to the Red Bull. Here he comes down the main straight. He's gone. He's gone for it. No, he hasn't. It looked like he'd gone. Now he's gone, definitely. As Darth Nihilus gets overtaken by JB. That
Never mind, Lawrence is going to go straight across as they go side by side down into turn 1. Lawrence pouncing on the AlphaTauri. I don't think he could get the overtake, though, because he overtook before the line. So he's had to give the place back to Cheryl Shaft. But it was side by side action as well. Here comes the Ferrari down the inside. JB and Steven Muhiti goes side by side. And Muhiti goes into the Ferrari.
It was a spin from Muhiti. It was all Muhiti's fault, but no bad racing. It was just a spin as a little Manny Man nearly into the back of Tyr further
Manny
back
Man's
as
got
well.
no wing.
No wing on the Red Bull. Okay, wow. It's a poor restart for him as well. Very unlucky. Tyr as well. Is there damage on that Williams, I wonder, because he looked very understeery at turn 7 there, but seems okay at turn 8. There's Lawrence right behind the AlphaTauri of Cheryl Shaft, as well as Mr. J-Man gains a lead unbelievably on those hard tyres.
Yeah, I think Lawrence having to back off and on that opening couple of corners has given J-Man the chance to get off, and now he's going to definitely have the temperature in those hard tyres, so it's going to be a bit harder for those medium runners. They're going to have to work a little bit harder and risk taking more wear out of the tyres than they'd like. Nihilius is close to the back of that Mercedes as well. The Ferrari pairing are going to be a fair ways back. It's a 4-car race at the front with J-Man, followed by Cheryl Shaft, then Lawrence, then Darth Nihilus just behind. Tyr gets ahead of the Ferrari. They're going to go racing. Tyr goes incredibly deep, and the Ferrari straight back down the inside. These guys switching places at the moment in the space of just 3 corners. Muhiti and little Manny Man into the pits after their appalling restart.
Yeah, a similar thing happened to JB. He went past Darth Nihilus before the line and had to give the place back, but ended up giving it to Muhiti as well when he tried to give it back. So difficult restart for JB, and then obviously the Muhiti clattering into him. I don't think there's damage on the Ferrari, but if there is, it will be side pod damage.
Yeah, for sure. Luckily enough, JB not feeling too many effects at the moment, but we can't really tell. There's not really any visual indicators for the damage on that car, and I don't think we have any stats to say otherwise. But that Williams all over the back. This Ferrari and Williams going racing. Is this the 90s? Coming through turn 14 now. Tears all over the back of Krauser. He's probably going to try and get past if he can. No DRS at the moment. I think that's been just about been activated on this lap, or it would be the next lap.
Cheryl Shaft down the inside of Mr. J-Man into turn 1. Oh, had to back out of it. Great racing between the two. Good defending from Mr. J-Man, but I think he is a dead man walking. Cheryl Shaft right behind, and Lawrence looking to pounce as well. Darth Nihilus is there as all 4 of these cars battle for the win of this race. But Cheryl Shaft, with that penalty, of course, he's going to be regretting that.
Oh, contact!
Oh, contact, and Cheryl Shaft's round. It was Lawrence's touch that sent the AlphaTauri round. He's still in the race, but he's been overtaken by JB maybe as they come round. Can Cheryl Shaft hold on? Yes, he can. Great stuff from the AlphaTauri, and he will have an opportunity to catch back up.
I think Lawrence just braked that a little bit too late, had a little bit too much speed, and just tapped the back of the AlphaTauri, who is not going to be too happy with that, I don't think. But he might be able to get himself back in this, especially if the drivers ahead of him start fighting a little bit. But J-Man doing well to keep these medium runners at bay.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheryl Shaft, I think he does have the capability to catch back up to them. 2.3 seconds, it's not that much, especially if these guys, these top 3 are fighting for the win. But yeah, he's not going to be too happy about that one at all, as Lawrence goes deep into turn 1. It could open the door for Darth Nihilus down the inside for turn 3. He's gone for it, has the McLaren, a bit of contact between the two of them, but Lawrence keeps it together. Down the inside he goes, and he keeps the place for now. But Mr. J-Man will be very happy that this is happening, because Darth goes for it again down the inside. What a dive bomb from the Mexican driver, but Lawrence holds on once again.
Yeah, Lawrence, great awareness to see that dive bomb coming from the McLaren, and it wasn't an incredibly audacious one either. I think that was a nice clean dive bomb if I've ever seen one, and Darth Nihilus trying to make some risky moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Muhiti getting past little Manny Man further back as well for P9 at turn 1. As they still race on, but these top 3 now really putting on the afterburners, trying to get this win. Mr. J-Man still holding on, but he's going to be dismayed when he looks at the lap counter and sees there's still 13 laps to go after this one.
Yeah, he certainly will. But he'll be comforted by the fact that those mediums won't go all the way to the end of this race without feeling something. But here comes Lawrence now. He's got the DRS. J-Man is going to park it in the middle of the circuit, really make the Mercedes work. But the Mercedes just gets past as they enter into the braking zone. Going deep goes the Mercedes. Could invite the Red Bull up in towards turn 3. The Red Bull thinks better of it. He's got that McLaren to contend with now as well. The Red Bull's happy to sit just behind Lawrence and maybe go on the attack. This is the championship fight, folks. This is Lawrence and Mr. J-Man going wheel to wheel and going racing with Lawrence at the moment, leading everybody around.
Darth Hillis right behind them as well. He's going to be waiting for Mr. J-Man to now fall out of that DRS range so he can get off after Lawrence. But Mr. J-Man just wants to secure this podium, I think, at this point. He'd be happy with that because he doesn't want to lose too many points to his rival, but it's great to see the top two in the championship fighting hard for the race win.
Yeah, certainly, and remember, it's going to come down to tyres this race at the moment, so J-Man's not quite out of it yet. As long as he can sit and stay with Lawrence and stay in that DRS, keep that McLaren behind him as well, J-Man could still be in with a shout for this race win.
He certainly could, but I think this is going to be his last lap of DRS. I don't think he got it, actually. Mr. J-Man was just out of range, so Darth should make short work of the Red Bull and the approach to turn one. He does indeed. Easy pass for the McLaren, and Mr. J-Man is going to be frustrated to not have had DRS there.
Yeah, he certainly will be, but like I said before, I think he's going to just try and stay in some sort of touch with these guys because he knows that they're going to come back to him in here as well. Look behind as well. Cheryl Shaft has closed that gap down, and he's just outside of that second that he needs to be in for DRS, and he could creep back into it, but those mediums aren't long left for this race.
Yeah, in about 8 laps or so, those mediums are going to start struggling. And by the end they're going to be screaming. A few people in Elite did 21 laps on the medium tyres. I don't know how they did it, but it was definitely in puncture range for them. So 18 isn't as many, but it's still going to be tough for the guys on mediums.
Yeah, it certainly will, and that'll be Mr. J-Man's saving grace. We're going to have quite the fight on our hands as we come to begin lap number 23. There'll be 11 laps left in this race. J-Man really sliding through turn 14 there, and he's not going to want to do that again. I'm sure he had a little bit of a scared moment there as Lawrence is trying to break the toe from Darth Hillis, who's just behind. Cheryl Shaft now going to creep along and get ahead of the Red Bull, so getting himself up into the podium places, but he still has that penalty to contend with, and we'll look at the penalty situation now. 3 seconds across from Cheryl Shaft, Krauser, Sox, Muhiti and Little Manny Man, and 6 seconds awarded to Tyr.
Yeah, Mr. J-Man will be frustrated with that as well. It was just a tiny error. It's so easy to do at that corner though, especially on the hard tyres. And it's cost him currently P3, but obviously, like you say, towards the end of this race is when it's going to get interesting. If J-Man can stay within DRS, but I think he's going to be out of it on this lap. So he's just going to have to try and stay consistent and wait for those mediums to fall off.
Despite his lack of ERS, Darth Hillis is keeping in touch with Lawrence, and Lawrence does see him as a little bit of a threat. He was going defensive last lap, and he might try again. We'll see different lines being taken through turn 14 there. The McLaren opting for a bit of a tighter line as he went through, but he's closing in a little bit. He might be close enough, but the ERS is really going to play a part here. And Lawrence already, look, he's going defensive, going to the inside. Darth Hillis sets the fastest lap. He's definitely got some pace with just the setup that he's running. So this McLaren is looking hot at the moment.
Yeah, but it's the ERS that's going to be the killer for Darth Hillis. Lawrence has so much to defend with. And even if Darth Hillis is within 3/10 of the Mercedes coming out the last corner, he's still going to struggle to get past because he's just got nothing in that tank. Compared to Lawrence, who's still got well over half of his ERS left. Mr. J-Man is staying in touch with Cheryl Shaft for now, but the AlphaTauri is struggling to get back in range of the top two.
Yeah, and that could impact J-Man if he can't get past him. He'll probably want to try and do that if he can, just to keep that struggling AlphaTauri from costing him any more time, especially now as those mediums start to fall away.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be all about as Lawrence makes a mistake into the the third to last corner, but he's gotten away with it. He's been able to take that wide line and get a better exit, but certainly a mistake from the Mercedes, and it's going to rattle him a little bit mentally to know that that mistake is coming. And now here they go down towards turn 1, but Lawrence is not using ERS, and could that be a mistake? Here comes Darth Nihilus now, DRS open, he's going to go for it down the inside, is he? But he can't quite make that move stick. You've got to really be alongside in turn 1 to make a move, and Darth simply wasn't. So Lawrence choosing very wisely when to use his ERS, but wow, that was risky.
Yeah, it certainly was. Darth might have another go here on the way down to turn 5. It's a shorter run than it is into the first corner, but Darth is going to try and get that wider line, really use the momentum, try and get the better exit, but the nature of the corner means that McLaren had nowhere to go. He just was met by the rear of that Mercedes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Mr. J-Man has just about fallen out of that 1 second range of Cheryl Shaft as well, so now his new goal is going to be staying within 3 to retake that podium, as Lawrence and Darth takes very different lines through that particular corner, and Darth nearly getting caught out by the Mercedes as they come through the final sector. I think this is going to go on all race long.
Yeah, Darth looking very good now, especially he's a permanent driver here in Tier 2. He's all over the back of Lawrence at the moment, and he's going to struggle without that ERS, but he's got some pace under that McLaren, and this time he's going to go around Lawrence into the pits.
Oh, wow. That's really surprising. He doesn't think the mediums will go, but I think they will. And Darth Nihilus and Cheryl Shaft now are going to be very happy. I think they're going to take those all the way to the end. And Darth Nihilus in prime position to win this race. All he has to do now is just nurse the tyres to the end. Lawrence is going to come out all the way down in P6. It could be down to P7. Where's Tia? It will be P7 as he comes out. And that could be huge for the championship, because now Mr. J-Man is in a comfortable P3, well, P2 after penalty.
He certainly is, but I wonder if this scares either of the other two into the pit lane as well. But it'll be an up to it'll be the drivers who keep an ear to the ground that will make the right call here. But we'll be interested to see what the McLaren does. Does the McLaren respond, or does the McLaren try and make his way all the way to the end on these ailing medians?
I know exactly why Lawrence has done this, Sumo, because of last week. That's why he's done this. Yeah. He is just terrified that that's going to happen again. But I do think that's an error. I think he could have gotten those to the end, but maybe his tyre management, his percentages on those tyres look different. Obviously, we can't tell from here, but I hope he gets on the podium so we can interview him and find out what was going through his mind there. But it looks like Darth and Cheryl Shaft have both stayed out the pit lane this lap.
Yeah, they have, and anything happens at the top 3, JB's into the pits as well, so he's responded to Lawrence's strategy call and has made his way into the pit lane. He doesn't want to get that last lap puncture either, and being held is the Ferrari, or perhaps not, just a glitch on the screen. But Cheryl Shaft, meanwhile, closing in on the back of that McLaren. Even if he does get past, he is still going to have to contend with that 3 seconds.
Certainly is. Half a second is the gap. And I think Darth Nihilus is going to be in trouble, because look at the ERS difference. Darth Nihilus only 13%, Cheryl Shaft well over half. So it's a similar story, but the other way round, and with a different driver this time. Cheryl Shaft trying to take his first podium in APPF1. At the moment, he's doing a very good job of it, and he's going to be happy that he's at least in contention for the win after he got that contact with Lawrence.
Oh, Tears had a spin out of turn 8. Oh.
Such a shame, and he's going to lose a couple of positions there. Obviously, Sock's not in the race, so it's only 1 position lost for Tia, but still, he's going to be frustrated with that.
Here comes Cheryl Shaft down the outside. Defensive goes the McLaren, swoops all the way round. This is AlphaTauri, though, going deep, doesn't invite the McLaren round. He's going to close off and take the race in line, get himself into the lead of this race, but it's not going to matter too much if he can't break that 3 seconds. Mr. J-Man will be eagerly watching this battle up ahead of him, and Darth Nihilus with the DRS going to follow down to turn 5, not making a move, but using all of the track, trying to get that switch back, really looking for a better exit.
Oh, another penalty. for Cheryl Shaft. 6 seconds on that AlphaTauri now, and that is, I think, his bid for the race win well and truly over. Lawrence setting the fastest lap. If there's a safety car, Lawrence is well in this race for the win now, but I think he'd have to be extremely lucky to get one at this point. On those fresh mediums, he's going to try and catch Crozer. He needs to catch another 10 seconds in 5 laps. It's definitely possible on fresh mediums, but it's still going to be quite the drive if he can do it.
Yeah, certainly. So we're going to go for another round of DRS then, as Daphne Hillis is going to try and get on the back of Cheryl Shaft, but that ERS problem with the McLaren, the lack thereof at least, is really hampering his pace at the moment. He seems to have some really good race pace, but if he had the ERS, he'd be in a very strong place to be winning this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And look now who's back within a second of the top 2. Mr. J-Man on those hard tyres. Those mediums are now going to start struggling from here on out towards the end. And Mr. J-Man could well still be in to win this race, as Daphne Hillis still with low ERS. Mr. J-Man's going to see that. He knows that there's that red flashing light on the back of the McLaren. But as long as Cheryl Shaft is ahead of Darth, giving him DRS, I think Mr. J-Man's going to find it very difficult to get past. But saying that, a big mistake from Darth out of turn 8, and Mr. J-Man is right behind him. Darth has got to work really hard to stay within DRS.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's really got to push here, but look, he's already out of sight of a second. This could be the P2 taken away from the McLaren. It won't be once the race is finished because of that penalty. But the Red Bull is going to really take advantage of this. Mr. J-Man is really going to rake in those points.
Yeah, Mr. J-Man looking for the race win here. Sox is back in the session. Wow. Okay. But Mr. J-Man, here we go. DRS open towards turn 1. Darth goes defensive. J-Man's going to have to go round the outside. It's going to have to be a wonderful move from the Red Bull. He doesn't go for it. He waits for a better opportunity. He knows that McLaren is vulnerable. But there's not that much ERS on Mr. J-Man's car either. And he's going to have to use it very wisely. Otherwise, he's going to run out at the wrong time and not be able to get past.
Yeah, he certainly will. And I think he's just going to sit back and try and recover some of that ERS. I think this is one of the tracks where it's harder to recover ERS, actually, if I remember correctly. Yes. So getting it back is no mean feat. And J-Man's really going to have to use it at the right time.
It's really important for the championship. Mr. J-Man, some crucial points gained on Lawrence. This could be, if he can win this race, it will be another 3 points with the APPF1 point system if he can get into the lead of this race. But Daphne Hillis, 1.3 behind Cheryl Shaft. That gap's coming back down, and Mr. J-Man's spun! Oh no! His chance for the race win is gone. 3 laps to go on the better hard tyres. He's the one who spun. He's got to be careful not to go round again. And he still should be able to secure P3, but he could have lost P2 as well, despite Cheryl Shaft's 6 seconds of penalties.
Yeah, and he's going to now have to try and manage that gap to the best of his ability and try and get onto P2 after penalties. But of course, he'll still finish on the podium as long as he doesn't make any other mistakes. Lawrence, in the meanwhile, is slowly creeping up to the Krauser. I think he's only got to sit within 3 seconds of the Ferrari, so it could be P4. So it won't be too many more points for J-Man, and I think we'll go into the next round tied once again.
Although Mr. J-Man is now back within the 6 seconds of Cheryl Shaft that he needs. So if he finishes P2, that is 20 points to him. Lawrence has the fastest lap, so if he finishes P4, that'll be 17 points. So it will be 2 points ahead for Mr. J-Man as it stands.
Oh, there we go then. So J-Man could take the championship lead here. But we've still got a couple laps of racing to go, and it's Daphne Hillis who is currently looking like he could win this race, and he's creeping up onto the back of that AlphaTauri once again, and he might find it easier now that he's got no pressure from behind.
We've got to think about Darthan Hillis in the context of the championship as well. He's only around 23 points behind before this race. It's going to be obviously less after this race. And Mr. J-Man and Lawrence have got to watch out, because that McLaren driver is going to be in the championship fight, I think, towards the end of the season. So they do still have to keep it consistent. It's not all about those two. As Mr. J-Man now coming through turn 4, he's still within that crucial 6-second barrier as Lawrence continues to chase down Crozer. 8 seconds. He's got to catch 5 seconds in 2 laps. That would be quite some feat. But with those aging hard tyres, all it takes is one error for Crozer and Lawrence is into P4. But got to talk about Crozer. He's had a very consistent, very solid race up there. He's sitting in P4 very nicely.
Yeah, certainly. He finds himself in a similar place to where he was last week, actually, in Japan. Maybe he'll be hoping for a last-minute puncture on one of those top 2 cars there to get himself onto the podium once again. But P4 would have been where he finished there, and P4 is looking like where he's going to finish tonight.
Was that fastest lap from Tier? I think it was, on the soft tyres. So he's taken that extra point. So he'll be happy with that. He's taken it off. I think it was Lawrence who had that extra point, actually. So that's quite important for the championship in reality. As they go on to the final lap now. Darthan Hillis just managing that gap. It's 5.6 seconds from between Mr. J-Man and Cheryl Shaft. The Red Bull, he can't rest on his laurels. He has to stay within those 6 seconds. It could be crucial. Just every point counts when the championship is this close.
Yeah, it really does, and it's been quite the championship thus far, and it's going to continue to be another 3-second time penalty for Muhiti in the Alpine. It's been an awful season for Alpine, and it continues. This driver pairing was the class of the field last season, and find themselves now just struggling to really continue that momentum that they came off of last season on. And it is a shame, but I'm sure drivers of that quality will eventually bounce back and we'll see some great performances from them. Speaking of great performances, Darthan Hillis has put in one great performance this evening, and as long as he doesn't make any errors in these final couple of corners, will find himself on the top step. Cheryl Shaft, on his debut, I think, is making his way around the final corner now. He's going to come across, and he spun at the final corner. Cheryl Shaft straight down. Darthan Hillis is going to take it on track, crossing the line, and Mr. J-Man is going to get that P2 no matter what. Is Krauser going to find himself on the podium once again?
He's going to snatch it at the line. Oh! Cheryl Shaft off the podium, and still in the final corner. He's going to be gutted. And he is down to P4. Crozer with another podium heist at the final corner. 2 races in a row. Lawrence finishes P5 in the end. Drama at the end.
Wow, JB comes home P6, a decent performance for him. He's not had the best of seasons. Muhiti's going to come home in P7. Sox will come home in P8. And Little Manny Man and Tier, they're going to be racing to the end. Are they equal on penalties? These two drivers, definitely not. Tier's got 14 seconds. It's not going to matter, but he's going to give it a go anyway. I think on these soft tyres as they come across the line for some action. Little Manny Man won't be too concerned, though, with all those time penalties on the Williams. And they're going to come across the line. Here comes Tier, going to have a go. Why not on the last lap, and racing across the line they go. But wow, drama once again on the last lap. Are we sure it wasn't LB driving that AlphaTauri?
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Driver of the day Tier.
I wouldn't agree with that. No offence, Tier, but we do have to choose our driver of the day, but I think we need to head over to the Tier 2 channel.
Yes, we do. Off we go to the interview pen. That's what we should call it. Sorry to blue screen, everybody, and you'll miss that amazing celebration there. But we'll start party. It's a closed party, and then we'll head over to... There we go. Hopefully everyone's in, but wow, that orange McLaren suit taking the top step then, and flanked by the Red Bull of J-Man and the Ferrari of Krauser, who nets himself a second podium after last lap drama. And great stuff from Krauser to find himself up there. We'll wait for everybody to get in for the interviews and for Ghost to join into the party as well. But it's going to be Daphne Hillis once again on the top step here in APPF1. Don't think for the second or maybe the first time here, but it's still an incredible result for the McLaren. He finishes first in this race with J-Man and Krauser flanking him on the podium. Cheryl Shaft gutted to spin on the final corner, finishes P4, with Lawrence rounding out the top 5, pitting after experience in Japan. JBS Steve, Sox, Muhiti, Little Manny Man and Tier make up the top 10, and the rest of the finishers, with Pommy, Alex, Femi and LB not finishing this race.
Wow, well, what a drama-filled race. It was looking like it could be a 4-car battle for the race win, but Lawrence, obviously terrified of a puncture after last week, came into the pits for another set of mediums, but in doing so lost his chance at a win, and I think lost the championship lead to Mr. J-Man as well. But in the meantime, Daphne Hillis, well, I'll let Sumo ask the initial questions.
Daphne Hillis, it was a strong qualifying. It was quite the race as well. That safety car really did throw a spanner in the works for sure. But you went all the way to the end on those medium tyres and found yourself on the top step of the podium. How was that race for you?
Oh, it was really chaotic. I wasn't expecting the contact on turn 1 lap 1, but you know, it doesn't matter. You have to keep your head cool. Thankfully, I didn't lose too much time to the people in front, so then I could recover a little by bit, keeping the count cool, not to make an error, a stupid mistake, keeping it cool. And yeah, certainly the safety car came in just at the right time, because it just came spot on. And yeah, from that point onwards, it was pretty close to the normal pit window, so it was a no-go to go for the stop. And then I saw the AlphaTauri had a 6-second penalty. I let him through, not to lose much time and just stay behind him. And that was the game plan. Unexpected, really, after that contact on lap 1.
Yeah, well, that turn 1 contact, we weren't expecting it either. I think it was Little Manny Man made a mistake coming into turn 1 and caused the carnage. Obviously, Femi Thrustmaster was the biggest loser, but you were a big loser out of it too, and that was a big recovery from you to get yourself on the top step of the podium. Obviously, helped by a little mistake from Mr. J-Man in the last few laps, but sometimes you've just got to keep it together, and that's what you did. So on those, after the safety car, when you could tell it was the 4 of you that were going to fight for the race win, who were you most afraid of in that moment? That's what I want to know. Lawrence, Cheryl Shaft, or Mr. J-Man?
I think, to be honest, all of them. I was surprised that it was a Red Bull that didn't pit from Hearts, and I was like, whoa, that may be a mistake. But from that point, it was the AlphaTauri. I can't remember the name of the driver, Lawrence, and I was being followed closely by the other Red Bull. So yeah, I was also surprised that Lawrence came into the pits like, no, the tire should last fine. I don't understand him, but I guess the last time in Suzuka with his puncture, I guess he didn't want to risk it out anymore. And I also got pretty nervous at the end, because I also got a tire warning that the rear left was like over 60 or 70% wear. So I was like, oh no, don't push it a lot. Don't explode.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I mean, those tyres must have been screaming right towards the end there. And when you saw Lawrence come in ahead of you, were you tempted to come into the pits as well and put on a fresh set of mediums after the punctures that we had last week?
No, not really. The strategy, like, it was fine. Like, I think even though I pitted like 3 or 4 laps earlier than the pit stop was, like, I think I pitted in lap 14, and the pit window was on lap 18. So there was not a really big difference to make an issue. So yeah, the hard medium strategy was always a one stop. So I was surprised he stopped. Like I didn't understand why. I thought he might have damage, like a wing or something. Otherwise, I didn't know why he pitted.
No, he was just terrified because of last week. That's why I think if that puncture hadn't happened last week and he'd won that race, there's not a chance he would have come in the pits today. Yeah, he was just scared it would happen again. But those are the kinds of decisions that win or lose you championships. So we'll see how important that becomes down the line for Lawrence. But regardless, well done to you today, Darth. And do you think you can have a go at the championship this season? Obviously, you missed the first couple of races while racing in Tier 1, but now you're going to be, around 20 points behind, I think, in the championship fight with 5 races to go. It's definitely possible. So is that in your mind at the moment?
No, it's not in my mind. Like, it's definitely possible, but I think I need to go race by race. Even though I won this one, I need to go, like, analyze what happened. How can I improve? Because there was times like I feel like the pace wasn't very good, so I need to understand that, get the nerves a little bit down, and if I can end up chipping points to the other guys little by little, I'll take it. We'll see.
Well, we'll see indeed. So, well done today, Darth, and I'm looking forward to see how you do in Austria, because I think the pace is going to be extremely close around Austria. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes next week. But congratulations on another win, and enjoy the champagne.
Thanks, guys. Amazing. Thank you.
I'll hand over to Sumo for Crozer in a second. I just want to ask Crozer, are you going to heist a podium at the final corner every race this season from now on? Because that's 2 weeks in a row.
I mean, if podiums in a row as well. So, I mean, there's a saying, isn't there, that something about you have to be in it to win it, or you have to be in the lottery, don't you, to win it? So I guess that's the lottery that you play in. I had a time penalty. I didn't think I was getting anything. I was just trying to look after my tyres and stay consistent. And it worked last week. It worked this week. So let's see how it goes next week.
You're absolutely right. That is the first time in APPF1 you've had 2 podiums in a row. So well done. Great job. But I'll hand over to Sumo for the next questions.
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of comment on about how what Ghost asked you and what you just said, you was sort of the right place, the right time in that strategy. But I think you had just a quiet race. I think. I mean, you had a few moments where you had some you got some damage from Pommy Alex or spinning at the beginning. How was that impacting you at the beginning of the race?
Well, yeah, I got front wing damage from that, and it wasn't his fault at all. I think he caught the curb, and then I just caught him as he was spinning, and obviously that happens time to time. But throughout the first stint, I was just sat there saying to JB the whole time, this front wing is costing me. But I thought boxing without a safety car for a front wing outside of my strategy was going to cost me more, so I just kept with it, tried to keep going. Had a few battles when other people pit. I think Darth pitted at one point and was behind me when I had the wing damage, and I was just trying to not overly defend, but just defend enough to slow people down to kind of defend the Ferrari team. And I thought JB might have been able to keep on his mediums in his second stint to the end, so I was just kind of trying to slow people up before they were getting to him. And then the safety car came, and I thought, perfect time to box, I'll take hards to the end. Came out from the safety car, obviously was a bit more bunched up, but I think if most of the people in front of me were on medium, so they took off pretty sharpish. Me and Tier had a few good laps, close racing. I don't know if it was on stream after the restart, but yeah, other than that, you're right. It was pretty quiet. I was just kind of looking after tyres, trying to stay consistent. Last week, I think I was on the stats that Ghost puts in. I think I was the most consistent driver. So I thought if I can just do that again this week, and obviously didn't expect the crash at the last turn. I don't even know what happened, but I didn't expect that last week, and I thought didn't expect that this week. But if I can stay consistent and pick up a few points and podiums here and there, then can't ask for much more, can we?
No, certainly, like you say, you had to be in it to win it. And yeah, we did catch some of those battles on the track. We did see you and Tia going wheel to wheel, recreating some great moments from the 90s, I'm sure. But there's one move that I was particularly impressed with, and I think both me and Ghost were on the stream as well. That move up the hill around the outside of, I think it was Muhiti or one of the Alpines along there, and that must have felt great to make a move around there, even with the wing damage.
Yeah, I think sometimes I always like to go for a move if there's a gap. If it's what is it that Senna said? If you don't go for a gap that's there, then you're no longer really a racing driver. And obviously, I'm not a racing driver. It's just a game at the end of the day. But if you can get a bit of adrenaline out of pulling off a risky move or pulling a nice overtake off or defending well, then it just makes the race a bit more worthwhile, doesn't it? And if it means that people are enjoying watching it, then that's just a bonus.
Yeah, I certainly feel that adrenaline is quite a big part of the sport, and I've been stepped away from the cockpit myself for a little while, and I can definitely say that even commentating, the adrenaline still manages to creep in those great moments, and that was one of the highlights of the race, I think.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, I think that will do us for interviews, Sumo. So thank you, Crozer and Darth, for joining us and sharing your thoughts. But we've got to decide on driver of the day for today, Sumo.
Yes, I have been thinking about driver of the day for once. I've had it up in the back of my mind in between interview questions today. And there's a few good contenders there. I mean, if you look numbers-wise, Krauser going from P11 to the podium was a great drive. But I think I've got to give it to Darth Nihilus. He had that horrible incident at the beginning, was sent right down towards the far end of the grid, and he just kept it going. He made the right moves, he was on the pace, and he made the most of that safety car as well, and made the right call when it came to the end of the race, staying out on those medium tyres and taking them all the way to the end and to P1 as well.
Yeah, can't disagree. I was going to say either Darth or Crozer, and yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. So yeah, Darth Nihilus, driver of the day. Yeah, well, there we go.
Wow, what an incredible evening of racing. We didn't have the biggest of grids tonight, but that did not take away from the racing action that we had this evening. We're going to take a look at the calendar now. We have reached the halfway stage of the championship. We've got 5 rounds left to go, with round 6 on the 21st of February at the Red Bull Ring. So we go to Spielberg for a race around Austria, and I'm looking forward to that one. It always produces some great racing, Ghost. How about you?
Oh yeah, Austria is always a fantastic race. Can be a bit DRS trainy, but you always get some great moves in Austria, and it's home to some famous APPF1 moments and some infamous APPF1 moments. Jack Alacco down the inside comes to mind, but also what's his name? Stingray going across the track and clattering Femi at turn 4. So it can all happen at Austria, and I can't wait.
It certainly can. I think one of the last times we raced to Austria, Ghost, you took me out. We both went hurtling into the wall together, if I remember rightly. I think AP got caught up in that too, but we'll gloss over that. But yes, Austria does always bring up some great racing moments, and I'm sure it will once again next week. So join us at the same time next week for some more Tier 2 action here with myself and Ghost. We will be commenting on all of the action on the track. I don't think I've got anything else to add though, but there'll be plenty more commentary coming from me. I'm not going to be around for Tier 1 unfortunately this Friday, so hopefully we'll be able to get a stream up for that, but I might be up to something on Thursday somewhere, which I might share around, but I'll wait for the time closer. But anyway, I'm going to stop rambling on now. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you've popped a like on the stream if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel as well. Go check out Ghost's channel as well. He has the onboard stream, and make sure you go and show the same support to that one as you do this. But for now, I have been Sumo.
I have been Ghost.
And we will see you next week at the same time for another round of the APPF1 Tier 2 Championship. Good night.
Good night.